Welcome to TPM Vid's Disney Beat, where we talk about all things Disney. If you're new to the channel and like what you see, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Opinions on the Disney theme parks can definitely be subjective. So, in a community post, I asked for your opinionated Disney hot takes, and boy did you all deliver. I wanted to do something a bit more laid back and just have a conversation about what brings us all together, the love for the Disney theme parks. So, thanks to your hot takes and some of my own, sit back as we explore the top Disney theme park hot takes. Number 7. Michael Eisner ran the company better than Bob Iger and Chapek put together. Now, people like to hate on Michael Eisner, but I agree. Eisner was a better CEO that was very passionate about the theme parks, so much more than Iger and Chapek. Realistically, a lot of what Walt Disney World is today is because of Michael Eisner. He truly expanded Walt Disney World into this mega resort. During his run from 1984 to 2005, he added 2 theme parks, 2 water parks, 18 hotels, 2 mini-golf courses, the boardwalk, and an expanded Disney Village and Downtown Disney. That literally makes up more than half of Walt Disney World today. He really had an eye for creativity, unlike Iger and Chapek, who are more the numbers guys in comparison. Eisner really promoted this architectural brilliance, like with Euro Disneyland. Now, he did almost bankrupt the resort by overbuilding too many hotels, but thankfully the park did recover. Disneyland Paris is still the most beautiful Disney castle park there is. Now, obviously, Eisner wasn't perfect, and near the end of his run, he had his faults, like building Disney California Adventure and the Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris on the cheap side. But overall, the 90s were truly Eisner's golden years. These were the years of bold theming, and they shaped the Disney theme park experience in a massive way. Number 6. Paying for Genie Plus makes it like you're a VIP in line, and it's so annoying. Genie Plus is the worst thing. Just give me back my FastPass. Genie Plus and Lightning Lane are the 2 worst additions to the Disney theme parks. They're such a scam. It's overpriced for what you would have gotten for free just 4 years ago. Okay, so let's talk Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. Yes, no doubt, free FastPass was better. But what I'm gonna say is gonna be a hot take in itself. So, Genie Plus should be exponentially more expensive. That's right, more expensive, not cheaper. It needs to be treated as a true premium product like Universal Studios Express Pass. I'm talking at least $120 a day per person. Right now, prices are still low enough where it's justifiable to spend the extra cash, especially when there's this notion that you need Genie Plus to be able to get on all the rides. You figure, if the price was $120 per day, it would cost a family of 4 an extra $480 on top of the ticket price. That's a huge chunk of change to be thrown around when you compare it to the extra $90 or $100 it would cost today. A much higher price point would definitely discourage a significant portion of people from purchasing Genie Plus. Even though less quantity would be sold, it would all even out with the higher price, and Disney would still make that extra bit of cash. With less people now purchasing Genie Plus, your standby queue will actually move. It will no longer be a 1 standby to 10 guest Lightning Lane ratio. Honestly, I think this would be a better guest experience for everyone. It's a win-win. I mean, if you visited the parks after the COVID shutdowns, the standby queues at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World were very manageable without FastPass. You didn't need it at all. Now, for obvious reasons, Disney really likes this extra bit of cash Genie Plus brings in, so I don't think it will ever go away completely, but I do think the price needs to be much higher. Number 5. They need to do better maintenance on their animatronics and maybe even replace some with better ones with more modern technology. So it's true. Maintenance at the American Disney parks has not been great in a very long time. A lot of older animatronics do need a lot more work just because of the constant wear and tear after operating for 14 hours a day. It really is possible for every single animatronic in the park, regardless of age, to function just as well as it did when they were first built. I mean, we've seen what happens when animatronics are neglected and aren't maintained. Looking at you, Figment, Ariel, and all of Carousel of Progress. With that said though, I don't think all the older figures need to be replaced with modern technology though. They're more than capable of still providing fluid motion with some maintenance. Look at Sunny Eclipse at Magic Kingdom. Disney recently refurbished the animatronic, and when he returned, every single function was working again, just like it was back in 1994. Now they could have very well replaced a bunch of parts, but whatever fine-tuning they did was exactly what the figure needed. They have the ability to fix the animatronics, it's just a matter of whether they want to spend the money on maintenance. That's what it comes down to. Remember when the 3 Caballero figures at Epcot were constantly breaking down? Well, Disney fully rebuilt the animatronics since they were pushing 50 years old, and today they're fluid as ever. They look great. Now I do gotta say that Disneyland in California maintains their animatronics a little better than Walt Disney World in Florida. And in my opinion, I think the animatronic maintenance at Disneyland Paris is better than both. I was very impressed with the fluidity of the figures, from Pirates of the Caribbean to the Dragon Under the Castle and even Buzz Lightyear. Disney used to maintain all their animatronics and rides to a much higher standard, and they really do need to step up their game with preventative maintenance. It would really go a long way. Number 4. Space Mountain is overrated. I mean, it's a very cool and fun ride, but it's very choppy and sometimes gives me a headache. Space Mountain and Flight of Passage are overrated. Okay, so I don't agree with Flight of Passage being overrated, but I do agree that Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom is extremely overrated. My hot take would go as far to say that it's the worst coaster experience at Walt Disney World. I mean, Space Mountain is pushing 50 years old now, and it's definitely due for a track replacement. Around 2013, Disney installed trim brakes on the ride that slowed the rockets down. This was to put less strain on the track in the high-stress areas and to extend the life of the track. I would even say Magic Kingdom Space Mountain is the worst Space Mountain at all the Disney theme parks, especially when you compare it to Disneyland in California and Disneyland Paris. Those two are phenomenal coasters. Magic Kingdom doesn't even have an onboard sound system, and those speakers in the show building just don't cut it. Now that Tron's open, I wonder how long it'll be until Disney gives Space Mountain the extensive refurbishment it needs. The track has to be nearing the end of its lifespan. Number 3. Hollywood Studios should have stayed as a movie-making park. Trying to make it as a step inside your favorite films is what Magic Kingdom does, and secondly, it feels a bit all over the place with what they want the park to be. Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land do not fit into Hollywood Studios. They should have kept the original studio theme and the Great Movie Ride because it was the thesis statement of the park. Now Hollywood Studios has no identity whatsoever. Okay, so let's unpack Hollywood Studios. So I do really miss when the park offered you that behind-the-scenes look at a working movie studio. Like, I remember feeling this excitement going on the Great Movie Ride, or even just walking through the streets of America. Now, even though the park hadn't been a working studio for a long time, there's a certain kind of magic that just doesn't exist anymore. Do you know what I'm talking about? Some remnants are still left over, but I agree. The Great Movie Ride shouldn't have been replaced. Even with Disney taking the park away from the working movie studio theme, the Great Movie Ride could have still tied the whole park together. When you think about it, the Great Movie Ride did what both Toy Story Land and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge do today: take us into the movies, just on a smaller scale. Now, before closing in 2017, the ride was starting to show its age. Realistically, it was on its last legs since, surprise surprise, Disney neglected maintenance. But there was still hope for this ride concept. It could have still been the thesis statement of the park, where it takes you inside your favorite movies. With Disney's vast film library plus the Fox acquisition, they could have easily updated some of the films in the ride. Couple that with some new modern tech and animatronics, and you have a classic hit all over again. Now, it does seem like they were truly set on having Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in the park. I do love the ride, but the smart decision would have been to place it in the old animation building. Runaway Railway would have acted as the anchor attraction for Animation Courtyard, and it could have been the start to revitalizing that whole area of the park. Once Runaway Railway opened, then they could have started work on the Great Movie Ride update. Plus, it would have added an extra ride to the park. If only that actually happened. All I know is that Animation Courtyard needs the most work at Hollywood Studios. They could really build something great in this area. Number 2. Peter Pan's flight is bad. My hot take? I don't understand the hype for the Peter Pan ride. I mean, it's cute and a good way to relax, but it's not worth the multi-hour wait it sometimes gets. Okay, so Peter Pan's Flight. It is a very charming Disney dark ride, but I agree, it's not worth the wait times it pulls. For the demand, it's such a low-capacity ride. They sort of fixed the issue a bit in Paris and Shanghai by adding an extra row to the ride vehicle. That's what I think should be done at Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. But I'm sure this would involve installing a brand new track to support the additional weight. In my opinion though, it would be a worthwhile investment, don't you think? Also, in terms of the suspended ride system, I think that's why there's so much hype for this Fantasyland dark ride. It offers you a completely different perspective of the scenery when you compare it to the other dark rides. But yeah, waiting 100 minutes for Peter Pan's Flight is not worth it in my opinion, especially at Magic Kingdom. Lightning Lane slows down that queue so much. The line length is also very deceiving since you can't see the indoor part of the queue, and you don't expect the wait to actually be that long. At Disneyland, wait times are a lot more manageable, but they're still higher than the other Fantasyland rides. What the ride needs at Magic Kingdom, though, is a major update, since nothing has changed on that ride since it opened in 1971. I would love to see a refresh on Peter Pan's Flight, along the lines of what Disney did with the ride in Shanghai Disneyland. It looks fantastic. It has a really good blend of practical effects, animatronics, and screens that brings the ride into the 21st century. Number 1. Animal Kingdom isn't a good theme park. No offense, but half of the lands have horrible or repetitive rides. I don't think Animal Kingdom is great at all. Sure, it has Everest and Kilimanjaros, and it's more relaxing, but I'm always ready to skip the park on any trip. Now I gotta disagree with you all and say that Animal Kingdom is actually one of the best Disney parks around the world. Now, sure, it could use a couple more rides, and there are some weak spots, like Chester and Hester's, but overall, Animal Kingdom offers so much. First of all, this park has some of the most immersive theming all around, and it transports you right into these worlds. It all really tells a story, and you could spend hours just taking in all the details. If you choose to only do the rides, then that's your prerogative because Animal Kingdom offers so much more than just rides. In my opinion, a true theme park experience is a lot more than just the rides, and Animal Kingdom offers you the full package. It's not a half-day park. Festival of the Lion King, Finding Nemo, and Feathered Friends in Flight are incredibly entertaining shows that shouldn't be missed. In my opinion, The Lion King and Finding Nemo are the best shows at Walt Disney World. Not to mention, many cast members in the shows have been on Broadway. They're top tier. Then It's Tough to Be a Bug is probably one of the most underrated attractions at Walt Disney World. You don't hear many people talk about it, but it's one of the more dark and scary attractions with a really cool animatronic. And with animals being the main focus of the park, you can't forget the exploration trails. Imagineers put so much detail into these exhibits that aren't just your typical zoo exhibits. Every bit of it is themed. Also, the food at the park is great. I love Tiffin's as well as Yak and Yeti for sit-down restaurants, and you can't go wrong with Satuli Canteen in Pandora and Harambe Market for quick service. Honestly, I'd rather spend a day at Animal Kingdom over Magic Kingdom. And that's my hot take. So what's your hot take on the Disney theme parks? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below to start a conversation, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video.